All right, here we go. Last but not least, we're going to do a fly under of the 66 Chevelle, just to show the underpinnings and all what I did underneath there. One other additional note I missed on the engine bay was the amount of work I put into that firewall. That thing is smooth as glass. Thing of beauty. All right, under we go. To start with is the suspension. The A's are Global West in the front. I replaced the factory style spindles with C5 style. They're a sealed hub unit instead of having greased axle spindles. That round unit in the center of the hub is the rotating hub assembly, and the wheel and brake bolt right to the outside of that. Viking coilovers, 6-way adjustable, all four corners. I mentioned in the other video that I had originally I had a Flaming River rack and pinion unit that I had trouble with. This is a Detroit Speed steering box. This is a high quality unit. Have had nothing but pleasure since I installed it. Related to that is all new steering linkage assembly. The underside of the front drive. Super damper balancer. LS style motor mount modifications. Those are a hooker manifold assembly. Fitting headers on this car was a challenge, so I opted for the hooker. It's a high flow, like much better than what you would traditionally experience from a manifold. The underside of the fan assembly. All right, let's move back. All right, looking forward, the underside of the T56 Tremec 6-speed manual. I don't exactly recall what clutch I put in this car. I know it was one 650 horsepower rated clutch assembly. The bell housing is SFI rated in case you get the inclination to go drag racing. Although depending on your drag race track rules, it may require a loop. That's a formality. A lot of times the old cars, there's exemptions as long as you don't go too fast. The exhaust, dual exhaust with an H pipe. That's the O2 sensors up in the high part of the pipe. This right here is the air fuel wideband. Installed in the side of the port there. All right, let me see. Continuing back. In the Tremec, I wired everything to work. In the rear housing here, there's two wires. One's the speedometer interface. The gauge cluster that's in it has a really intuitive speed calculator that the speedometer is really accurate in this car. And also, I went ahead and I wired the reverse lockout, so you can't put it in reverse when you're traveling forward. Let me see what else we got here. Oh, the suspension modifications, I've got a couple. Or the frame modifications rather, there's a couple factors to it. I have a mixture of two companies. One is ABC Performance, who actually supplied some of the frame components as well as the rear end housing. It's a strange assembly. But anyway, also Speed Tech had a chassis modification. This frame modification is a mixture of those two companies. ABC has the frame box rail kit. It also has, if I get back here a little bit further, I can kind of view. It's hard to see underneath the car. I've got if you look at the chassis pictures from the listing, it'll show it a lot better. But up in here, the frame rail is narrowed 2 inches on each side, and that was the reason. This frame width is the limiting factor for these cars on tire width. You can see how close the tire is to the frame rail. To put a lot of tire under these cars, the frame rail has to be modified. Apart from that, it's the Speed Tech pieces. All this tube stuff ties into the frame rail here at the corner, right where the trailing arm link bolts in. All the way up, incorporates the transmission support cross member, and then ties in to the front of the frame up near where it heads to the K member. This is the emergency brake linkage that I modified to adapt to the suspension modifications. Moving on back. All right. Okay, Edelbrock upper links. These are Global West on the lowers. ABC Performance provided this big, super beefy sway bar. Up above, that is a Corvette style fuel pressure regulator. That's just provides constant of GM 58 PSI to the fuel system. And I had the return short looped in to the fuel tank from here rather than running 2 lines up to the front of the car. Fuel lines, let's see if I can scope those. There's stainless steel fuel line right there, run up parallel with the frame rail. Positive battery lead, and then the stainless steel fuel line. All the brake lines in the car are also stainless steel and all new. Not much to see up here. That's basically the vent tees for the fuel cell. I had a problem initially with this fuel tank. It's a 24-gallon volume, but I couldn't fill it all the way because the vent in the top of the tank is lower than the fuel fill level because the tank slopes so much in the car. And then what I was having problems with was pressure building in the top of the tank and then pushing fuel out through the vent. The resolution for that was I teed another vent into the filler neck, and now I can fill the tank as much as I want to. Here's a better look at the Viking coils. Rebound, compression adjustments, as well as ride height adjustments. Strange 9-inch housing with a S-track center section. It's a geared posi unit. No clutches. No troubles with this thing. This rear end will take as much horsepower as you ever want to throw at it. All right, continue on back. Here's where I put the vent and the fill neck that I referred to. The exhaust, I found these stainless steel tips and decided to cut them up into the bumper like so. Nice little detail. And then back on out. And for the finisher, kind of a look under the super meatiness of that tire combo. Right on.